Have you ever heard of the manosphere?
I don't know what the manosphere is.
Have you ever heard of Andrew Tate?
Yeah.
It's an alternate view on relationships, kind of favoring the man's role in society right now and lawfully.
The manosphere is defined as a collection of websites, blogs, and online forums promoting masculinity, misogyny, and opposition to feminism.
Misogyny? Promoting misogyny?
Well,
now that's obviously not.
Okay, well that's what the Wikipedia definition I guess is.
It's a little biased,
Yeah,
probably.
okay. Well, it's Wikipedia. What do you think of all the different manosphere channels and the similarities and differences between their messages?
So far in the manosphere, I may have maybe like 3 different channels that I know of. One is Fresh and Fit, one was Kevin Samuels, and another one, it's a bald-headed white guy. He has like a salt and peppery beard, so they talk about different things. Kevin Samuels was very provocative. It seemed like he was a shock jock and he wanted to get the conversation started. It seemed like he didn't believe some of the stuff he would say. He would just say it to be provocative, to get men and women talking about it, because it's important to have these conversations.
I think that some people are intentionally antagonistic in that space in order to promote a message and promote themselves, and that's understandable. I wouldn't find it that interesting for that aspect of it.
The manosphere, when it comes to Fresh and Fit, those guys have some point of views that are legit. Also, some of the point of views, they're not really so legit to me. Like one of the guys said, you should, be with at least 50 women before you settle down. That seems a bit excessive, so that's not really, something I vibe with. But just with anything, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, and you agree with people when they're right, and also when they're wrong, you kind of separate. So we have to be, I think that we're an intelligent society, and we can listen to different people, different personalities, and pick what's good from the bad and separate it,
Well, that's the thing. I think that people that are criticizing it are going to be painting it with a very broad brush. And so, even within, like, let's take Andrew Tate, for instance, right?
Do you think Andrew Tate is helping or hurting men, and why?
I think he's helping men because he motivates us to be better and motivates us to want more out of our lives.
He's helping men, be more in touch with their masculinity, but he's also, he does have some misogynistic traits, and
There are some good points that I think that he boosts confidence in young men, but he can damage some that misinterpreted what he says.
Although he has some opinions that are against women, I feel like the majority of what he says is good for men, and I feel like men should listen to what he's saying.
Obviously, he's been arrested in Romania on some, serious charges, right? But you could take individual things that he says and, 85% of the people that you might ask might agree with those things. They might not agree with, whatever he might have done to get charged with criminal charges, but that doesn't mean that, you should throw out necessarily the whole message.
Which is more important, their message or their lifestyle?
The message.
the message for sure.
It's always the message.
The more important thing socially is the message, but the thing that might sell it is the lifestyle.
I don't know, because I believe, Pearly Things, you've heard of them? Pearly Things, her channel, she doesn't practice anything she preaches.
Can you be more specific?
She always says that men don't want a career-oriented woman or a person that talks strong and, a masculine, career-oriented and all that. I don't know. She just, I don't know. She tells other women how to be when she's being the opposite of what she's telling them to be.
Do you watch their content more for the educational value or for the entertainment value?
Yeah, for the education.
I like the educational value of it, and then sometimes it's very entertaining. Just like your channel, man. I love your channel. You be lighting their asses up.
How much of what is being said is new information?
Like 60%.
Yeah, 60%.
None of it. There's nothing new under the sun, as they say. So, but there's a lot of it that is new to a lot of people, a lot of young men, for instance.
Younger people, it's new information. Older people, it's been here, but the way it's being presented is new.
We've been taught, kind of raised that girls with sugar spice everything nice, guys with snakes, snails, and puppy dog tails. But it turns out that a lot of these women are not sugar and spice, and a lot of men have found that out the hard way and had a rude awakening with some really unscrupulous women.
Men have a platform now, as before when it was just Oprah and Sally, Jesse Raphael, and Ricky Lake. That's all we had to really go by. But now men are picking up the microphone, men are doing their thing, men are giving their perspective on things, and it kind of gives a counterbalance, and that's what we need.
And I think that it's also very sobering for women too, for them to actually consider what the future holds based off of their behavior and like their choices.
If this is not new information, why has nothing improved?
Because the message not getting out.
Not just women, but everybody. Everybody's on their square. The men are over here, the women over here, everybody's separated. Even when you go out, man, in clubs, everybody's separated. It's just, how can you improve from that? Everybody's more engaged to their phones.
Before you can have social change, you have to have awareness, right? And I'm going to go to the opposite, which is the women's suffrage movement, let's say. Well before women got the right to vote, there had to be decades literally, of awareness of those issues before there was any meaningful social change. And I think that I think that may be the case here. And maybe it's not decades, but any social movement starts with awareness.
But just because you have information doesn't mean that things are going to improve. There are so many people that know how to be fit. They know they should, eat a little less food. They should eat nutritious food. They should go to the gym. They should try to get sleep. But how many people are doing that? A lot of people know how to take care of their relationships, but who's actually doing it? A lot of people know what to do, but actually doing it or being aware of what to do and actually doing it are two different things. So I don't think it just applies to this topic.
Why do these channels spend so much time on self-improvement and men grooming themselves to please toxic women that just want to use them and bring nothing to the table?
Honest opinion, I feel like a lot of men lose a lot of masculinity. So I just feel like they just need to know, let these females know you can't just use any man how they want to use them.
To please toxic women that just want to use us and bring nothing to the table.
We shouldn't.
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a good. We shouldn't use it for toxic women.
I believe that you supposed to better yourself so you can attract the women you want, not gold diggers and shit.
So the idea is become a person that is that somebody would want to be with, and not do it, but don't do it just to. It's kind of like pickup artists. The idea of kind of gaming the system, playing a game versus becoming a person who's attractive to the type of people you want to attract.
Does having a flashy car and a fancy watch attract the type of women you want?
Personally, no, because a lot of them are not loving me. They're loving what I can do for them, so no.
I want a girl that's more traditional value, a girl that has more more things we have in common.
Not really materialistic, all that.
How is having game different than simping for women?
Ooh, good point. In theory, simping would be being a nice guy. So if you're talking about in terms of pickup artists, simping would be being a nice guy, whereas pickup artist stuff is heavily, at least in certain people's expression of it, involves negging and that sort of thing. And so one is being nice and one is getting what you want without being nice.
Game is like winning her mind over with just your mouthpiece. Simping is like, hey, I'll spend so much money on you, I'll buy you dinner, I'll take you shopping. Like, you don't need money to get a woman.
Having game is usually when you're trying to hit on a girl to get laid. Simping for women is when you're trying to get a girlfriend.
Having game is being able to go up to a girl, start a conversation with her, get her laughing, giggling, you feel me? Being able to get the number and be able to go somewhere from that.
What does it mean to flex?
To flex would be a show of a display of wealth or power or something like that.
The flex just means to, show off, to be a showboat, to do too much,
What's the difference between old money versus new money, and which one is more likely to flex?
Obviously, new money would be more likely to flex, I think. So old money is would be a person who has family money. New money is a person who just made money and is therefore more likely to flaunt it.
How is buying a bunch of luxury items to impress women not just another form of simping?
I feel like that's a good thing. It depends what the guy feels. Like if the guy is doing it for the women, then I understand that I view that as a form of simping because they're trying to get their attention. But if they buy that for any other external reasons outside of that, I believe that's that has a different meaning in my opinion.
I think it is kind of like being simping, because it's like you're begging for attention for women, and you're offering materialistic items, not really what like is in the inside, like a conversation or something about yourself.
It used to be, oh yeah, I want a man that's gonna protect me, who'll be there for me, who'll be the leader, the head of the household. Now it's, oh yeah, I want a man who makes 5 figures. I want a man who doesn't work a 9 to 5. I want a guy who does all these crazy things but can't bring anything to the table. See, at least back then, when women had all these crazy high expectations, it was, you feel me, they were at least bringing something back to the table.
Do women's delusional expectations require men to set delusional goals?
In a sense, yeah. Some girls want like a 6-figure man, and like honestly, like dude, like look at yourself. Like you don't have a job. You expect your looks to get you everywhere, and like could affect men delusions, dreams, or whatever.
What's the difference between a woman rating herself a 10 and a guy calling himself an alpha male?
The difference is, if an alpha male is like a king. You know what I'm saying? You're always supposed to treat a man like a king. And a woman that's rating herself 10, she just bougie and stuck up.
Nobody's 10 out of 10. Nobody in this world is 10 out of 10. It's just you having an inflated ego. But being an alpha male, you're just, like you feel like you're a dominant person. You feel like, you can set the tone. You can take charge and lead things.
Men recognize alpha males. Women, not all, but some women are delusional, and they think they're 10s, and they're far from it. So, but women can tell themselves anything and believe it. Men, we have to prove it.
Why do men even have to be labeled alpha or beta males in the first place?
They don't need to be. I don't know where it came from, and I don't understand why it's a thing.
That's sort of an analogy, and then there's the sigma male. We have the sigma male.
What is that?
That is the sigma, and these are all analogies from wolves, of course, which are not necessarily the most applicable to human society. But if we're making analogies from wolves, the sigma wolf hunts outside the pack. He's like a lone wolf. He's even cooler than the alpha. And so after the alpha male and people self-proclaiming alpha male status has sort of lost some status, and now everybody wants to be the sigma male who's cooler than the alpha male because he's the lone wolf.
What's the difference between calling a man a beta male and shaming a man for not being a real man?
Oh, good question.
Honestly, some men just like to be named alpha, and for the ego, just to boost the ego, like they're successful because they can do something that other men can't, when in reality we're all equal and we're just trying to better ourselves.
Why are there some men who shame women for having a high body count, but then also complain about how hard it is to get laid? Is that a double standard?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. They want all the women to sleep with them, not everybody else, though. So yeah, I mean, it is a kind of hypocrisy. Yes.
When a girl has a high body count, in my opinion, her value kind of decreases, and I feel like women know that. So that's why I feel like when women are in arguments with another woman, they tend to say, "Oh, that's why you're a hoe. That's why you're a whore." All this stuff, and I feel like they know that that's devaluing, and they try to use that against each other, even when they're.
Should we be blaming simps for women's bad behavior?
No.
No. I don't think so.
Didn't women set the terms that they needed to be served and put on a pedestal, which created simping in the first place?
Yes.
I say 80% of it is simps, because they're the ones going to OnlyFans, paying money, being suckered. And like Snoop said, if you're a sucker, you're going to get licked.
You're sending this girl money you've never seen. You feel me? You're asking her. You're asking her to do all these crazy things for you over online or in person, but you feel me? It's not real love.
Simping is the worst thing you could ever do.
Didn't women set the terms that they needed to be served and put on a pedestal, which created simping in the first place?
That's not what created simping, in my opinion. What created simping is mothers, single mothers that raised their sons to be suckers, and then they they got with the bad boy. Women like bad boys by nature. They got with the bad boys, didn't like the outcome. Then they raised their sons to be good boys, but then the son finds out that women don't want good boys. They want bad boys, or they want bad boys and turn them into good boys.
The phenomenon of simping would probably go back further in human psychology all the way back to the caveman times. I'm sure somewhere there's going to be a caveman simp if we were to trace it back far enough.
Aren't simps a byproduct of what feminism has caused?
Yep.
So then why are we blaming the victim?
I have no idea.
Why do men even have to be labeled alpha or beta males in the first place?
In my opinion, I don't really think there's a reason to use it. I feel like that's a stupid way to put like labels on men. But I feel like it's just been around because just like predatory instincts, like how us humans just evolve.
Men today, and boys and men, there's a lot that they can take away that's useful from those messages, and I think that to paint it with that broad of a brush that it's misogynistic inherently, I don't think is correct.